Yes. Good morning, students, and welcome to today's class. I hope you all are doing great, and I hope you all are fine and studying well too. So, now on the screen, as you can see, it's chapter number 5, The 100 Dresses, Part 1, written by Eleanor Ist. So, this is a very interesting chapter. That is a kind of a story, you can say, that we are going to study. And it also has another part of it, that is 100 Dresses, Part 2. Once we complete the part 1, we'll move on with the part 2. Okay, so part 1 is very interesting one. So if you will understand this part 1, then it will be more easier for you to go through the part 2, and the things will be very clear also. So ये जो lesson है, the 100 Dresses part 1, it's about a girl whose name is Venda, and this girl claims to have 100 dresses. Okay, this girl claims to have 100 dresses. And ये जो 100 dresses इनके पास में है, these 100 dresses is a issue to talk about. Now all the other girls, because Venda usually when in class, Venda used to wear just one dress. Venda is always in one dress, that is faded old blue dress. But whenever asked that how many dresses you have, she always says that I have 100 dresses all lined up. And to take the teasing to a greater level, another question is being raised, that is, okay, you have 100 dresses, I think many of them might be silk. So it is said that yes, it is of silk, and then further it's asked that it might be velvet too. So there's yes, it is said yes, there are velvet dresses too. So these are the things which are taken over here, and this has become the issue to have fun about. So because of this, and when it's the girls teasing more, ask, okay, so you must also have so many footwears also. So she used to say, yes, I have 60 and they are also lined up in my closet. So there are two girls in this chapter. One is Peggy and one is Maddie. They are the ones जो वेंडा के बहुत मजे लेते हैं and they make fun of her. They usually keep standing at a point waiting for Venda to come and they make fun of her. Venda's name was the issue to be talked about, that was to make fun of. And Venda's clothes was fun, and the Venda's response of that she's having 100 dresses and she is having 60 shoes all lined up. All these things are the issue to have fun for. So this was all about this chapter. Okay. So now her classmates made fun of her because she always claims, and the claim she does is in the contradiction to the fact that she is always seen wearing the same dress. Her classmates found her name to be very funny, and it was because everyone had easier names than Venda Petronaski. It is difficult to pronounce and say. Her name was different because she was a Polish immigrant who had come to American town with her family. Now, she was poor and she did not have many friends. She was quiet and she was always seen sitting in the corner of the classroom. The truth about the 100 dresses unveiled when she submitted her 100 drawings in a drawing contest. And they were the same 100 dresses she used to talk about, and all of them were immensely beautiful. That time, the girls who used to make fun of her realized that actually what the 100 dresses were which she talked about. But it was too late. Even though her dresses won prize, ठीक है, उसको प्राइज भी मिला, but for that appraisal she was not present over there because she had left the town and gone with her family. So it was an issue of regret, it was an issue to have guilt for, to forever उनके लिए guilt or regret था. But yes, nothing can be happen. So whatever you do, whatever you say, just think 100 times before speaking or doing anything. ठीक है, बिकॉज बाद में क्या होता है, देर आर ओनली रिग्रेट्स लेफ्ट. अगर आपकी अनदेखी की वजह से कोई गड़बड़ हो जाती है तो ओनली रिग्रेट्स लेफ्ट, नथिंग मोर. ओके, सो नाउ वी विल मूव ऑन विद दिस टेक्स्ट. Okay, students, so now moving on with the text. See, today Monday, Venda Petronaski was not in her seat, but nobody, not even Peggy and Madeline, the girl who started all the fun, noticed her absence. Usually, Venda sat in the next seat, to the last seat in the last row in room 13. She sat in the corner of the room where the rough boys who did not make good marks sat. The corner of the room where there was most scuffling of the feet, most roars of laughter when anything funny was said, and most mud and dirt on the floor. Now they say that today, Monday, it was a Monday, and Venda Petronaski was absent. She was not on her seat. But nobody, not even Peggy and Madeline, जिसे later on Maddie कहा गया है इसमें. Full name is Madeline. Now these two girls, even these two, the girls who started all the fun, they even did not notice her absence. Usually, Venda came and sat in the seat next to the last seat in the last row in room 13. But she sat in the corner of the room where the rough boys who did not make good marks sat. And the corner of the room where there was most scuffling of the feet, most roars of laughter. जब भी कोई फनी चीज की जाती थी सबसे ज्यादा हंसी टिटोली वही होती थी was said, and most mud and dirt on the floor was seen in that particular corner of the room. Now, Vanda did not sit there because she was rough and noisy. On the contrary, she was very quiet and rarely said anything at all. And nobody had ever heard her laugh out loud. Sometimes she twisted her mouth in a crooked sort of smile, but that was all. Now, Venda did not sit there. Venda वहां नहीं बैठी because she was rough and noisy. ठीक है, वो rough and noisy थी. On the contrary, she was very quiet and rarely said anything at all. Rarely वो कुछ बोलती थी, usually नहीं बोलती थी. And nobody had ever heard her laugh out loud. किसी ने कभी उसको बहुत जोर से हंसते भी नहीं सुना. Sometimes she twisted her mouth into a crooked sort of smile, but that was all. कई बार उसको किसी ने बहुत ही crooked way में smile करते देखा, but that was all. ये enough था. Nobody knew exactly why Venda sat in that seat. Nobody exactly knew कि Venda वहां पे क्यों बैठी थी. Why Venda was sitting over there. Okay, because she came all the way from Boggin Heights and her feet were usually caked with dry mud. Now nobody exactly knew why Venda sat in that seat unless it was ऐसा क्यों था because she came all the way because she came all the way from Boggin Heights. वो Boggin Heights से आती थी all the way and her feet were usually caked with dry mud and उनकी जो feet थे they were caked with dry mud. That is कि बिल्कुल सूखी सूखी मिट्टी and it was all caked with the dry mud. But no one really thought much about Venda Petronaski. But no one thought much about Venda. किसने ज्यादा वेंडा के बारे में नहीं सोचा. Once she sat in the corner of the room. एक बार वो corner of the room में बैठ गई. तो उसके बाद में उसको कोई नहीं पूछता था that where she is, why she is, or where she has gone. Nobody. So the time when they thought about Venda was outside of school hours at noon time when they were coming back to school or in the morning early before school began. When groups or two or three or even more would be talking and laughing on their way to the schoolyard. Now the time जब वो वेंडा के बारे में सोचते थे ना was outside of the school hours. This was at the noon time when they were just coming back to school or in the morning early before the school began. Now, when groups of two or three or even more would be talking and laughing on their way to the schoolyards, वो हंसते खेलते मस्ती करते आते थे. Then sometimes they waited for Venda. Now sometimes they used to do what? They used to wait for Venda to have fun with her. उसके साथ मस्ती मजाक करने के लिए. The next day, Tuesday, Venda was not in the school either, and nobody noticed her absence again. Now the next day was Tuesday, and Venda was not in school. Venda school में नहीं थी. And you know what? Not to be surprised, nobody noticed her absence again. किसी ने उसकी absence को notice भी नहीं किया. But on Wednesday, Peggy and Maddie, who sat down front with okay, so the next time when they thought about Venda was outside the school hours at noon time, when they were coming back to school or in the morning early before school began, and when group of two or three or even more would be talking and laughing on their way to school yard. Then sometimes they waited for Venda. फिर कुछ देर के लिए तो they used to wait for Venda to have fun with her. उसके साथ में fun करने के लिए, मजे करने के लिए. Next day, Tuesday, Venda was not in school either, and nobody noticed her absence again. Next day, Tuesday, Venda was not in school either, and nobody noticed her absence again. But on Wednesday, Peggy and Maddie, who sat down with other children who got good marks and who didn't track in the whole lot of mud, did notice that Venda wasn't there. But on Wednesday, what happened? Peggy and Maddie, वो usually क्या करते थे? They usually used to sit down front, वो front with other children who got good marks and who didn't track in whole lot of mud. Did notice, उन्होंने notice किया that Venda wasn't there, कि Venda वहाँ नहीं थी. Peggy was most popular girl in the school. Okay, she was pretty. She had many pretty clothes and her hair was curly. Maddie was her closest friend. The reason Peggy and Maddie noticed Venda's absence was because Venda had made them late to school. सिर्फ एक रीजन था कि उन्होंने नोटिस किया that Venda was absent. And what was that reason? The reason was that because Venda has made them late to the school, so they noticed कि भाई ये Venda वहां नहीं है तो कहाँ है. They had waited and waited for Venda to have some fun with her, and she just hadn't come. They kept on waiting and waiting for Venda to come and have fun with her, but she didn't. But she just hadn't come. तो उनको लगा कहाँ गई. That is why she noticed कि भाई वो कहाँ है, क्योंकि आज उसकी वजह से हम लेट हो गए. They often waited for Venda Petunovsky to have fun with her. They usually, वो अक्सर क्या करते थे, Venda का वेट करते थे, Venda Petunovsky का, so that they should meet her and have fun with her. Okay,